Thank you, Mr President. My question is to the Minister for Women, Senator Payne. The government promised new school teaching materials on consent and respectful relationships back in the 2015 Plan for Women's Safety. But the Education Minister only announced the rollout in classrooms last week, a 6-year delay. A student could have started and finished primary school in that time. Has the Minister for Women taken any action to find out why these important materials have been so delayed?
The Minister for Women, Senator Payne.
Thank you very much, Mr President. I don't have details with me of the education aspects of that matter. I am aware that the Minister for Education did, in his remarks last week, make reference to these issues and to the bravery of the young women in particular who had come forward as a result of the discussion of these very, very difficult issues in Australia, including sexual assault and rape, to disclose their own experiences. As I understand it, we have education materials in relation to the teaching of primary and secondary students about ethical behaviour, about consent and respectful relationships through what is known as the Respect Matters program, and that material will be freely available for use in all Australian schools in the coming weeks. The program for Foundation to Year 6, Mr President, is focused on relationships and friendships and managing these through changes and challenges. That is about providing building blocks for later content. The program for Years 7 to 9 focuses on moving from preteen to adolescence and looks at relationships and power and bullying and bystander action. And then further, Mr President, the program for Years 10 to 12 focuses on personal and intimate relationships. That includes understanding consent and decision-making and consent laws and rights. Mr President, the government understands that this is a much broader issue than just schools, and significant funding has been allocated since 2013 by governments, federal and state and territory, but $1 billion from the Commonwealth to prevent and respond to violence against women and their children.
Has expired. Senator McCarthy, a supplementary question.
Yes, Mr President. Can the Minister for Women confirm she has failed to implement the recommendations in the 2016 COAG report on reducing violence against women and their children and the 2018 statement from delegates at the COAG summit on reducing violence against women and their children? If yes, why?
Senator Payne.
Thank you very much, Mr President. As the senator would be aware, we as a government, like previous governments, in fact commencing in 2010 with a strong multi-partisan, I would say, support, Mr President, have been supporters of, engaged in, leading on the National Action Plan to prevent violence against women and their children. Part of that is underpinned by the engagement of women's safety ministers from the states and territories with the Commonwealth ministers, Minister Ruston and I and myself at this point in time. And that is the framework under which the Commonwealth works and the states and territories work on all of these issues. In relation to those individual reports, Mr President, if I have anything further to add, I will bring further information to the chamber.
Senator McCarthy, a final supplementary question.
The CEO of Community Legal Centres Australia has warned that the government's move to abolish the specialist family court model risks, and I quote, exposing survivors of family violence to unnecessary risk. What action did the Minister for Women take to protect women and children from the risk of Attorney-General Porter's move to abolish the family court?
Senator Payne.
Thank you very much, Mr President. And as senators would be aware, there was a very extensive consultation on the introduction of the reforms to the courts that Senator McCarthy has alluded to, and this is a a very important priority for the government within the family law system. I understand there's also been a report released this week in relation to matters affecting the court system and specifically with relation to family law. There's a number of initiatives, Mr President, which were part of the Women's Economic Security Statement as well in October of last year in the context of the budget that also went to these issues in the context, of course, at the time, overwhelmingly of COVID-19. Yesterday, in discussions with a number of community organisation representatives, including Ms Lynch from the Women's Legal Services